Hey guys, good morning. It is Thursday. It is September 4th. Welcome to Before the Noise. I hope everyone is having a fantastic morning and looking forward to a great day. We're winding into the weekend, and we declare that not only is Jesus Lord, He is King, and His kingdom is here. And today we're going to continue in John chapter 6 and show you just how much dominion Jesus actually has. That includes over your own life. John chapter 6, verse 16 says, "When evening came, his disciples went down to the lake, and there they got into a boat and set off across the lake for Capernaum. By now it was dark, and Jesus had not yet joined them. A strong wind was blowing, and the waters grew rough. And when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus approaching the boat, walking on the water, and they were frightened. But he said to them, 'It is I, don't be afraid.' Then they were willing to take him into the boat." I love that phrase, "then they were willing." Immediately the boat reached the shore where they were heading. The next day, the crowd that had stayed on the opposite shore of the lake realized that only one boat had been there, and Jesus had not entered with his disciples, but they had gone away alone. And then some boats from Tiberias landed near the place where the people had eaten the bread after the Lord had given thanks. And once the crowd realized that neither Jesus nor his disciples were there, they got into the boats and went in Capernaum to search for Jesus. So the disciples left him behind because they figured he wanted to still be with the crowds. The crowds realized he was gone, and the crowds got in their own boats and began to chase him. This is a fun story. Besides the fact of him walking on the water, which is an amazing miracle, which we're going to talk about, this is a fun story because you truly see the human element involved in this. So I hope you guys can see it. The fishermen who knew these waters like the back of their hands, these disciples, they got in a boat, they get caught in the darkness, they're tossed by the waves, they're rowing hard against a storm, and here's the detail that's easy to miss. And I pointed it out, but I want to make sure you catch it today. Jesus was not yet with them. They left without him. Sometimes the greatest test of faith that we experience is not when we see Jesus or we know Jesus is with us, but it's when it feels like he's distant or absent. That's when the darkness deepens. That's when the waves rise. That's when the storms come, and all we can do is just keep on rowing. Now, this wasn't the first storm that these men had seen. In Mark's gospel, we're told that Jesus had already calmed the storms before, but this time, unlike the last time, he wasn't in the boat. You see, fear amplifies when we feel abandoned because the familiar safety net seems missing. And that's the way life is, isn't it? Financial storms, health storms, relationship storms, the nights when it feels like we're rowing alone and we're just at our wits' and strength's end. It says when they had rowed about 3 or 4 miles, they saw Jesus walking on the sea, and coming near, they were frightened. Notice the irony. They weren't terrified of the waves or the storm anymore. They were terrified of Jesus coming to them in a way that they didn't expect. How often do we resist the very rescue that God sends because it doesn't look like what we prayed for? You ask for peace, and he brings change. You ask for comfort, and he brings challenge. The disciples wanted calm seas. Instead, Jesus showed them his sovereignty over the seas, and they weren't expecting that. But he said to them, "It is I, do not be afraid," in John 6:20. And these words echo the divine name from Exodus, "I am Yahweh." In other words, I am here. I am enough. I am over your storm. He was basically saying, I'm the God who created these storms and these waves, and I am walking on top of them. Folks, the presence of Christ doesn't always remove the storm immediately, but it redefines it. When Jesus says, "It is I," he's telling you, don't look at the waves, look at me. Don't measure your strength. Your strength is out. Measure my presence. And then they were willing to take him into the boat. I love, the Greek says they were glad to take him into the boat. Immediately the boat was on the land in which they were going. This is powerful. Listen to this. The moment they welcomed him into the boat, they reached their destination. Did you catch that? Sometimes the distance between your storm and your peace is as thin as your willingness to invite Jesus into your situation. I want you to do that today. They didn't need more rowing power. They didn't need more hands on deck. They needed more Jesus. See, this passage isn't just about the waves or the storm. It's about the one who treads on the chaos. In the Old Testament, the sea symbolized disorder and danger and death. By walking on the water, Jesus wasn't performing a party trick. He was declaring dominion over chaos itself. So the miracle isn't just that he walked on the water, it's that he turned fear into faith and despair into gladness and distance into arrival. That's the same Jesus who steps into the storms today, your storms. Now, I want to help you turn these storms that you're going through right now into some stepping stones. So let's bring this home. How can you live this truth out today? Let me give you 4 intentional steps that I believe you can take. First of all, I want you to name your storm honestly. Name your storm honestly. Don't sugarcoat it. Like the disciples they admitted they were in trouble. And you need to admit when you're in the darkness and the wind is against you. I want you to write it down if you need to. I'm big on writing things down. I'll tell you that every day. Say, Lord, my storm is, and write it down. Naming the storm doesn't give it power. It invites Jesus into it. Secondly, I want you to look for Jesus in unexpected forms. He may not come how you imagined. Peace may come through a conversation, clarity through a challenge, provision through an unexpected source. So ask yourself this. When that happens, could this be Jesus approaching me in disguise, or maybe I just don't recognize him? Third, I want you to receive his word daily. I want you to hold on to his promise. It is I, do not be afraid. I am is in your presence now. Start your morning repeating it. Midday, whisper it again. At night, let it quiet your mind. Fear loses ground whenever faith speaks up. The fourth thing I want you to do is welcome him into your boat. Don't admire Jesus from a distance. Wow, look what he's doing. That's cool. No, invite him into the details. Pray over your meetings, pray over your commute, pray over your conversations, all of those things. I want you to say, Jesus, step into my boat. The relationship you have with your spouse, the relationship with your children, whatever may be strained right now, whatever you're straining at, you're like those disciples at the oars. Invite Jesus to step into your boat. Folks, the storms are inevitable. They're going to come, but being abandoned is not. You may feel like you're rowing in the dark, but the Savior who walks on the seas has his eyes on you. The night will never be too dark. The waves will never be too strong. The distance will never be too far for him to reach you. And when you invite him into your boat, you're going to find yourself not just surviving the storm, but arriving at the very place God intended for you to be all along. So hear me this morning. Your storm is not the end of your story. The darkness may be thick, but it's not final. The waves may roar, but they're not sovereign. The fear may rise, but it does not have the last word. The last word belongs to Jesus. He's the great I am, the one who walks on what terrifies you, the one who speaks into the chaos and says, it is I, do not be afraid. And here's the truth. When Jesus steps into your boat, you don't just get peace, you get progress. You don't just survive the storm, you arrive at your destination. You don't just endure the night, you see the dawn. So lift your head, square your shoulders, row if you must, but row with hope, because the one who rules the waters is walking towards you even now. He's not forgotten you, he's not forsaken you, and he will not fail you. So the storm may rage, but the Savior is going to reign. And if Jesus is in your boat, you're already on your way to the shore. You're already on your way to the shore. I know it's rough for some of you, but trust me when I tell you, Jesus is walking on top of it. I want you to grab my book, Born for Meaning. You can go to bornformeaning.com. I encourage you to go over to Amazon, and if you would, leave me a rating and review. It's greatly helpful. Thanks for spending a few sacred minutes with me today before the noise. My prayer is that you walk into whatever comes next, not empty, but filled, not rushed, but rooted, and not reactive, but renewed. So take a deep breath. God's already ahead of you. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same peace, before the noise. I love y'all. God bless.